discuss whether the government should subsidize food prices. Okay, this seems like a pretty straightforward essay, and I'd be very happy if this came up on an exam, purely because most of it is going to be relatively straightforward to explain. We'll talk about what a subsidy is, and then we can talk about why the government might do it, and then think about the drawbacks of a subsidy, and then consider perhaps an alternative method. But let's see how it goes here. Financial intervention uses subsidies as a method of influencing the market price of a product. A subsidy is a payment by a governing body to encourage the production or consumption of a product to help correct market failure, and market failure is where the free market mechanism fails to deliver an efficient allocation of resources. Okay, and as you can see in this essay, and like every essay I've come across so far, you're going to be talking about what market failure is. Know that definition inside out. So immediately we go to a diagram to show the effects of a subsidy, and we have supply and demand diagram accurately labeled with the correct shift of the supply curve from S to S1 showing the impact of a subsidy. I expect a subsequent explanation below, and we get that here. So we see the subsidy shifts the supply curve to the right from S to S1, lowering the price from P to P1 and increasing the quantity from Q to Q1. Therefore, a subsidy on food prices has caused there to be a payment to the firms, which therefore reduces their production cost, encouraging them to produce more at a lower price. As the population continues to increase and the wants and desires also increase, consumers demand higher levels of food. So here's the explanation of why a subsidy would be a good idea. Therefore, a way in which the firms can supply this food without minimizing revenues is through the introduction of these subsidies. This will maximize producer welfare as they will sell high levels of food, and also maximize consumer welfare as the price of the products will be reduced. Moreover, this will also maximize consumer welfare, especially for the poor individuals, as the government are subsidizing one of the main goods which makes up a large proportion of a poor person's income, as food is essential. This will help to increase the real income of households during the recession. Right, strong analysis, great explanation of what's happening here, and what the effect of the subsidy is. Another advantage with the introduction of subsidies on food prices is the benefits from the increased merit goods consumed with the positive externalities which follow. So here we have an explanation, an introduction of positive externalities. The subsidy will encourage people to consume more. On the positive externalities graph, Q indicated the chosen level of output, but for the introduction of the subsidy, the quantity increases from Q to Q1 to represent the socially optimal level. Therefore, this will increase benefits to society as the merit goods will be consumed more. This will help to reduce the strain on the National Health Service as consumers will lead a healthier lifestyle. Okay, so there we have an introduction of food as a merit good, and then say the benefits will then have a positive impact on the NHS and reduce the strain because people may have a healthier lifestyle. However, subsidizing food prices is a general subsidy placed on all food regardless of the status of the good. So therefore, merit and demerit goods will both be made cheaper to the consumer, which in the case of merit goods is creating a good incentive to eat healthy, but in the case of demerit goods is encouraging people to eat unhealthy in the midst of a major obesity problem. The government has not got control of specific prices, but there are government legislations emphasizing the health and nutritional content of food, so by reducing the prices of unhealthy food is only encouraging ill health. This increasing obesity issue, encouraged by subsidies, will place a strain on the NHS. These are the negative externalities produced if the government chooses to subsidize food prices. Excellent points being made here, right? Let's see food as a merit good, let's see it as a demerit good, and then we really need to understand both of those ideas in the context of a government subsidy, seeing as how there can be a benefit and a drawback. Another issue with subsidizing such a vast market is determining the size of the subsidy. Okay, now we're going to evaluate, analyze and evaluate, as it needs to reflect the growing demand for food without affecting other aspects. It is also likely that one of producer or consumer will be unhappy with the chosen size of the subsidy, and regardless, it will take the government to decide on this, causing an opportunity cost where the time could be better spent. So we talk about the size of the subsidy and the opportunity cost of time. Right? We understand that the government has to focus energies on different problems, and time being spent on this one takes time away from another issue. As well as this, there is an opportunity cost on the money spent when subsidizing the prices. The money could be spent on healthcare, education, or many aspects which may be considered important. Okay, the opportunity cost of money. Finally, subsidizing food prices generally will cost huge amounts of government spending. I don't like the word huge, which comes up so much in student essays. I always try to change it to the word significant. Okay, that's just a personal thing. And as we are currently in an economic crisis, the revenue needed to pay for it needs to be generated most likely from further spending cuts or reductions to other public sectors. Right, so maybe there's other, I'd say, reduction to other public sector spending, more so than other public sectors. On balance, the government should not subsidize food prices, as the money and time involved could be better spent, and using them to subsidize food price may cause unrest and make the government unpopular. It would be an inefficient allocation of resources to subsidize food prices, resulting in market failure. Furthermore, the chosen size may not be accurate, causing government failure. It's difficult to be aware of how a policy such as this would work and how the public would react, as it may end up being very successful, very popular, and very efficient. Okay, I'm going to take a look at the points, the different levels, so I can see where this needs to, where I would mark this essay. First of all, you are not required to discuss an alternative. Right, when in terms of subsidies, it's a good point to discuss, but if there is something else you can bring up, that could help, but it's not necessary. You're not required to discuss an alternative. You are required to analyze the topic in question, which is the government subsidy, but you're not required to discuss an alternative. It can help. So does the writer clearly understand the topic? Yes. Throughout, I understood that. They discuss subsidies, merit, demerit goods, opportunity costs, and positive externalities, and negative externalities. The whole discussion is kept in context. L3, the writer provides a balanced argument with well-developed analysis. Yes, there's a for argument, there's the against argument. Diagrams are accurate and well explained. The writer has balanced the argument and evaluated concisely as she examines the issues with determining the size of the subsidy, opportunity cost, and the potential for government failure. There's a definitive answer stated: yes, the government should, or no, the government should not. Again, once they ask you for the opinion and these 18 markers, make sure you state it clearly. I do not agree, or I think this is the best method. In this situation we see here, she's written the government should not subsidize food prices. And we have a final answer. I gave this 18 out of 18, and it was very strong throughout. I didn't see any point really where the writer didn't seem to know what they're talking about, nor anything that I strongly disagreed with. Grammar mistakes were very few, if any, and I would say I'm giving this 18 out of 18. I could see somebody try to argue this no lower than 16 marks, but I would say the window for this essay question is going to be 16 out of 18 marks.